What up, your boy T-Chronic here, back with the second episode of the T-Chronicles podcast. This podcast right here is, it doesn't have a specific topic. I just wanted to check in and let y'all know what I've been up to, what's going on, what new music I have coming out, and generally just tap in. So we're going to get right to it. There is a few things that I want to specifically discuss. But first, I want to fill you all in on the new musical endeavors that have been taking place. Starting April 5th, I'll be hitting the road with my homies Jarrett Morgan, Tinge, and Tanner Whitey G. We'll be going on the Silver Lining Tour. Silver Lining is my new album that I dropped in December, a few months back. And this album is my fifth, technically my sixth album. I took down my EP Amethyst some time ago to redo it, revamp it. Technically the sixth, but fifth full-length LP, Silver Lining, available on Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. This album I spent a lot of time on. In fact, my EP Amethyst, I actually took 2 songs off that and redid them, rewrote some stuff, remade the beats, and now those tracks are now Illuminate and Live the Dream on Silver Lining, but that was previously released on my Amethyst EP. So, fun fact. But yeah, new album out. Super stoked on it. I spent a lot of time putting together the track list, and it's really cool how the track list goes very serendipitously into the next song. I arranged it that way, but to an extent, because when I listen back to the whole album Silver Lining, the way that it goes into the next tracks are like very connected in a way that I didn't, specifically plan. So check it out. So yeah, Silver Lining Tour happening, April 5th through April 14th. And April 14th is the homecoming show of the tour. And that will be taking place at the Holding Company in Ocean Beach here. Opening up for Dizzy Wright. Blessed to be a part of that show. And let alone it being the last show of the tour. Very rewarding to come back to San Diego and open up for a legend. Dizzy Wright just has such a parallel vibe and like the T-Chronic vibes. He's very... just a great lyricist and always has a positive message, and super stoked to be a part of that show. Silver Lining Tour going down. This is I did the Love Life Tour. Infinite Blessings Tour didn't work out. The Perseverance Tour happened. From the Sea to the Trees Tour last year, and now this is the next one, the Silver Lining Tour. So it's happening. Get your tickets for that. I got tickets. They are $20 each for April 14th for the Dizzy Wright show. They will sell out very fast, so hit me up if you are interested. So on to the topics that I will have as bulletins for this episode. And I wanted to talk about anxiety. Anxiety, and I wanted to talk about fear. And both of those things are something that most of us, if not all of us, face at some time in our life or face continuously and manage, So anxiety. What is the difference between... Anxiety can come in so many different forms. In so many different templates, anxiety could be felt. But what is the difference between anxiety and a panic attack? For me, anxiety is a feeling of you going up the roller coaster, and it's building up and it's building up, and you're feeling it, and it's just this anxiousness that is pursuing in your being and making you feel very unsteady. And there's many ways anxiety can attack, but overall it's like a gradual feeling of uneasiness. Panic attacks are more of a light switch. They're more of you're already at the top of the roller coaster going down the other side. And panic attacks can be where you're already at the peak of the anxiety. Instead of getting anxiety and gradually building, a panic attack can be rather you're already at that point and all of a sudden the switch flips and you just have this panic attack. And there's so many different ways anxiety can strike people. I like to think of myself as a very charismatic person when I'm on stage connecting with the crowd, when I'm off stage hanging out with my friends, when I'm talking to a stranger that I meet on the street. I'd like to think of myself as somebody who has an easy way of connecting with people and can carry a conversation in an easy way, in a fluent way. But the charismaticness that I have, that doesn't mean that I don't face, anxiety. And in a weird yin and yang flip side, sometimes the anxiety I've faced in my life has actually, on the other side of it, contributed to my ability to connect with people. It's like once you get past the barriers, it's almost like a blessing in disguise. Because you went through the dark, you saw the light. Because you felt that feeling, you know what it's like to not feel that. And you also recognize, whoa, I'm not alone. So, like I said, I like to think of myself as a charismatic person, but I have also faced social anxiety on numerous occasions. And different types of social anxiety that I think not only myself, but other people have faced as well, is maybe you're in a social setting and you're just in your head for whatever silly reason, right? And you're talking to someone and you're so in your head that you're not fully, your ears are not open. You're already thinking about maybe perhaps what you're going to say before they're done even talking. You're like cookie cuttering your response. Or, just a lack of being in the moment. And my friend, rest in peace, my brother, man, Austin Carl, back in the day, he told me, I don't know if he made this quote or if he heard this quote, but regardless, he told me this quote, and it meant a lot to me. He said, "You have 2 ears and 1 mouth to speak or to listen twice as much as you speak." And it's powerful. So when it comes to like social anxiety, for example, at times when you become aware that you're feeling that feeling of just being too tense or in your head, at times it almost makes it worse. You like are aware of it, and then in your head you're like almost putting yourself on trial and giving yourself a hard time about it. But the best way to defeat that feeling is to like take the spotlight off yourself. The spotlight wasn't on you in the first place. Like you don't need to be so like in your head in a shell. Just relax. Give people that huge personality that's behind that thin curtain of nervousness. Because it'd be a shame for that thin curtain of nervousness to shadow and hide such a beautiful personality. And you have a lot of light to share. So don't forget that. And so the best way that I've come to get past social anxiety, for one, this sounds cliche, but your breath really is everything. Coming back to your breath, because your heart's beating whether or not you're thinking about it. Until it's not beating, it's beating. Whether or not you're making it beat, it's beating, right? You're breathing, like right now I'm talking and I'm breathing without previously thinking about my breath, right? I'm just talking and flowing. But what's cool about the breath is, you can partake in it as well. I can consciously go, and I can breathe, and I can consciously breathe with my breath. So that being said, your breath is constantly going, right? Your breath is the moment. Coming back to your breath is the moment in a way, because it's constantly going. Whether or not your mind is there in the moment, you're breathing. So you want to be back in the moment, come back to your breath, because your breath is the anchor to the now. Realizing that has brought me a lot of clarity, and it's also allowed me to be the ears open, the 2 ears open and 1 mouth, to listen twice as much as you speak. It's allowed me to come back to that message and apply that more into my life. So the next time if you feel social anxiety, first off, know that you're not alone. And a lot of people go through similar struggles, whether it's anxiety or many other things in life. And the lack of us vocalizing it keeps us in our little bubble. But little do you know, there's a lot of other people in that same bubble. And you like talking about it or just like letting it go out of your being, get that weight off your chest. That's allowing other people, not only your bubble to pop, but other people's bubble to pop. Because then they realize they're not alone either. And what does that do? That creates a bond. It creates connection. And, of course there's things in life you don't want to talk about or you don't want to express. And that's okay too, but just know you're not alone, and allowing yourself to be liberated from the energy within you that holds you back from the moment. Because it's now. I don't know what's going to happen next. And I'm not going to, it's a waste of energy to stress on the next. Because you're here right now as you're watching this video, you're here. So having anxiety about the future doesn't change the outcome of whatever may be, but it does rob you of the moment. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned when it comes to or social anxiety specifically. And there's also like health anxiety and all sorts of different anxieties, intrusive thoughts, things that like are not our thoughts. Why am I thinking like this? And things that are just not you and that cause fear. And that kind of leads into what I want to talk about next is fear. So specifically, I want to dive into the topic of like dark thoughts. This is something that like maybe a lot of people feel but don't talk about. And I will, because I'm familiarized enough in the field of that energy of experiencing what it's like to think thoughts that you don't want to think, right? If somebody tells you, don't think of a purple giraffe, don't think of a purple giraffe. Whatever you do, don't think of a purple giraffe. What are you going to do? Your mind's going to think of a purple giraffe right away. And that's kind of how it works with intrusive thoughts, is because, and let me be clear too, I feel like intrusive thoughts and just negative thoughts sometimes in general, or dark thinking, or just anything of like just lower frequency thinking, at times like seems to attack some of the most good-hearted people. And it's because they are good-hearted people who would never do or, want to cause conflict or harm to anybody else. But, when it comes to intrusive thoughts, like you fearing, say like a thought pops in your head that you didn't want to think, you emphasizing in your own mind that you didn't want to think that thought. Oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. That's going to give that thought weight. Okay. And when that thought pops back in your head, if it's a specific thought or it's a generalized energy of thoughts, when that kind of shit attacks you and you give it fear, you're giving it energy. You're giving it weight. You're giving it power by fearing it. And of course, you're fearing it because you don't identify with that. And you're like, what the hell? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I thinking that? But you fearing it is giving it power by falsely identifying with something that's not your higher self, right? When these thoughts come back around and you learn to not resist to create fear, because resistance is a huge threshold in the catapulting of fear. That's like a huge thing that creates fear, is resistance. Think about if you're on a psychedelic trip and you're like, oh my God, why did I, you're resisting from the experience. You're going to go into a bad trip or, whatever. Like you not letting go, in other words, is creating turbulence. So if dark thoughts or any like unwanted thoughts like that pop in your head, the more that you step back, you're going to get a step ahead. The more that you don't judge those thoughts and you almost treat them like little kids, like, oh, you don't even know any better. Like I own my mind. I own my mind, and I have control of what kind of flowers grow up here. And the more that you don't fear, if you get into those ruts in your state of mind where you're like just in a dark state of mind, don't give it fear, because the weight that you give it is going to like ricochet back at you. So the more that you don't give it fear and give that weight, imagine if you give that weight to positive thoughts and making sure I'm still recording here. Imagine you give that weight to positive thoughts. All that weight that fear drains from you, imagine if you converted that and started giving it to positive thoughts. Now when those thoughts come around, the scary, dark one, whatever, doesn't hold weight. They just, whatever. But when the good thoughts, the things that you give you chills, the feeling that you get inside from what matters in life, the good, positive force of life, you give that weight, you give that power. So when that comes around, that's what holds weight. You take that weight from what was once scary, a fear, or whatever narrative that it presents itself as, and you give it to something more uplifting in your head, and trust in yourself. You know you're good. You know you're good deep down. Just stop for a moment and smell the flowers. It's all around. There's beauty all around, and give your energy more to of what you know to be true, not the what ifs. The what if this, what if that. It just creates resonated fear that you don't need. So that's, really what I wanted to express about anxiety and about fear. And just know, like, when it comes to anxiety stuff, if you're someone out there that feels that, I'd like to think of myself as one of the most charismatic people, and generally, like, in the happiness that, like, I exuberate from myself, like, that isn't because I've only seen freaking sunshine and rainbows. That's because I've faced certain things in my life where I didn't feel good. And because, I was able to evolve and transcend that, it was able to add more depth to the light that I spread. And that's the yin and yang of it. It's like, if everything was light all the time, then it wouldn't be light, So the obstacles that you face, allow them to be fuel for your fire. Allow it to be wood for your fire that you bring to the world of love. So, yeah, that's what I want to say about anxiety and about fear. And there's honestly a lot of wormholes I can go into about anxiety or fear. And and by that I mean, like, there's just so many topics of the different kinds of anxieties that people face. But all in all, the main thing is just know you're not alone. And the more you know you're not alone, the more you can allow yourself to, like, put down that weight. Just relax. You're good. You're all right. It's all good. So that's that, That's that. Y'all are beautiful. The Silver Lining Tour takes flight April 5th. It's going down like the Titanic. Gigantic shit going down. Very blessed to just have different homies in different states. Shout out Sun Yoga, Atlantis Rising. Shout out Merlin in Grants Pass, Oregon. Just super stoked to get back on the road and share the music. I have a T-Chronic acoustic album dropping this year too. Just sneak peek of that. A lot of people that come to the shows just know me for, like, emceeing and spitting rhymes, but I also very much love to sing, and I very much love to play my guitar, and I plan on showing much more of that this year. So stay tuned. Y'all have a beautiful ass weekend. It's a bright sunny day out. I just hung out with my buddy John, aka Fizzgig, aka fucking the man, you know what I'm saying? My homie Lunchbox, aka Danny Russell, both my brothers that I've known all my life, and my homie Danny Bellafair. Be on the lookout for Bellafiore. It's Danny Bellafair and Alex Bellafair, both my homies and their brothers, their band. They have some new music coming out, so tap into that. Such good music. But yeah, hung out with Danny and my homie John. We went and they were fishing. We got some tacos, hung out by the ocean, and all in all, it was just a great day all around. So thought I'd come back and just crack at the second podcast, the T-Chronicles. So thank you so much for tapping in. Much love. Cheers.